Hey everybody, this is Ari. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my live stream. Could I just please have people on theoretically YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and my Facebook group let me know if I am live? That would be super helpful because I have no idea if this is working. Seems like it is, but I don't know. Give me a... Oh, good. YouTube's in the house. Excellent. Thank you. YouTube check. Anybody on my Facebook group? Anybody on my Facebook group? Give me a quick check if this is working. I'd love to know. We're going to be talking practicing. And wait, I got some fancy stuff prepared here. Let me see if I can get that in here. Here. You'll hear that. How's the sound? Comments are coming through. Oh yeah, there is Rick. Thank you, Rick. Dingala. Excellent. Okay, where else are we? Are we on LinkedIn at all? I get green check marks. All right. Well, I'm here to talk practicing and answer all your questions about practice and how to practice in such a way that you get faster results, reliable results, because I know for a fact that a lot of people, they really are passionate, they really want to get better, but they are somehow stuck in not really knowing what to do. Something plays twice, I'm hearing. Turn on the amp. Okay, can do that. Is it better like this? Is this now only once? Let me know, Wolf. He's in the room, so he can't figure it out. I'm telling you, this going live business just never gets boring. Okay, well, I'm here for your questions, so I hope that they can come through. I have a few that I already got, so I have a list here. But I would also love to be able to communicate with y'all live. I got my bass right here. If you want to see some samples or whatnot, we can go any old way that you'd like to. First time live with you. Hello, Lauren. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome on YouTube. Very good. Excellent, excellent. Well, I seem to have been able to figure out the buttons. So what you're listening to are some of the samples that we are doing in the in our classes. These are custom composed tracks that Wolf puts together for us because we want to do specific drills. We want to go deeper on a song. We want to just have a practice inspired by a certain bass line, inspired by a certain style. And so Wolf makes us these amazing tracks that are just such a great asset to have. We have Genoa in the house. Well, that's wonderful. Welcome, welcome. Ciao, Tito. Felicitaciones, says Leonardo. Thank you very much. Well, I got a lot of YouTube folks here. Can somebody let me know if Facebook is working? I don't see anything coming in from Facebook yet. Too loud? Can you do the buttons? We're kind of loose here. I hope that's okay, everybody. I'm gonna fade this out a little bit. Is Facebook working? Somebody let me know if Facebook is working. I can hear you, but I don't see you on Facebook is what I'm hearing. Whew. And how about the Facebook page, Fred? Is that working? Facebook page? Theoretically, the StreamYard thing should stream into my whole universe. Well, in any event, I am curious about what challenges you all might have when it is about practicing. So let me know what kind of challenges you run into when it comes to practicing. And I'm gonna go to Facebook real quick and see if I can fix that. But supposedly, how about the Facebook? How about the Facebook profile and page, Fred? Can you go to my page, see if that's working? Theoretically it should, because I'm feeding it straight into you. StreamYard, please work. Just do it. Just work. going to press a few buttons, but think about in your own personal practice, when you sit down, what kind of challenges do you face? What is it usually that makes you feel like getting better, but not really? And why? Because this is really something that we are working hard to improve. And I have found over the years of study and over the years of reading and testing, I have found a few things. So I want to share them with you, but I still can't figure out why Facebook isn't working. All right, where are we? Events. Anybody here fit on StreamYard can tell me why my Facebook thing is not working. It says live video. Now you're going to get me twice probably for a second. Oh, I see video there though. Is that not happening? Is that just for me? Cannot change your input source. My input source says my video is working. It says my sound is not working, but hey. The people are telling me the sound's working and the video is not. All right, well, I'm just going to go with what I have because there are folks here and I want to be here for your questions. So page works on Facebook, but not the Facebook group. So if you're on the group and not hearing this because you're on the group and trying to get to it, but yeah, I have the sharing rights. I actually put a really fancy URL thingy into StreamYard that's supposed to work, but it didn't. All right, well, we're just going to go with it. So practicing. When you sit down to practice, what is the first thought that goes into your mind? What are you thinking about? What is your... Do you have a list? Do you have an agenda? Do you have a plan or not? Do you have things you would play over and over? I'll just tell you a couple of typical responses that I get to that. You do the same thing over and over because it feels good to be able to know something. So that's what you do. Another thing that I encounter often is you pick a tune that you're really inspired by. You love it so much, but it's way too hard. And you want to push yourself, you want to really get that tempo, or you really want to nail it. And no matter what happens, you're going to just work really, really hard on it. And you see it in my body language. Everything is about to tense up because probably this piece might be a little bit too hard to tackle right now. Now, if it's too hard to tackle right now, should you avoid it? Not at all. But I got tricks how to help you with that sort of thing. But if you play it over and over and over, way too fast, cramping up, pushing yourself, veins popping, everything just wanting to push that tempo, it's not going to happen. And the only thing that people typically then know to do, if something's too hard, they slow it down, right? And they figure, well, the tempo I can't nail it at. So let's say Joe Dart does it at 118, right? And I can barely get it together at 90. Now, get me right. This is a good start to slow it down, to like lay it out in a way that you can mechanically and conceptually understand it. That's an excellent start. But once you have done that, there is the only thing you might know to do is then, okay, every single day I'm going to add a tick on my metronomes. I'm going to go from 90 to 91 to 92 to 93. And what's going to happen, if that's the only tool in your toolkit, is you're going to get to a tempo, which I call the edge tempo, where you're going to start tensing up. And if all you know is to keep pushing, then the tension will build up. And it is very unlikely that you will get better. Actually, what's much more likely is that you're going to be super tense and keep pushing, and making it worse. You get frustrated, and at some point you give up. And then you put it to the side and do other things, and then you come back to it because you love it so much. You really want to learn it. And over starts the cycle. And this is such a frustrating place to be. Let me know if you guys can relate. Let me know if you guys can relate at all. Rick, if you are on Facebook, can you shoot me a comment from there so I know I can get the comments from there? And thank you for checking. So Facebook is working apparently on the profile and on the page. And if you have, Rick, if you would be so kind, I think you have to turn off YouTube, then go there. Shoot me a comment because I want to know if my comments are coming through from there. And if not, I would ask Fred, please, to go there and translate them to me, feed them to me. So there's that. So yeah, I've done that, Rick. I don't know why it's not working. It's not following the instructions I was given. So thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah. So has anybody ever experienced that? That you just keep doing it over and over? And I sure have, because I had to learn this the hard way, so to speak, too. So what I did is I went into the literature. I went into what do violinists do? They have a couple of 100 years on us. They're also dealing with strings. They're also dealing with coordination in a very similar way that we do. So I wanted to know how they would solve these problems. And I have found a lot of tricks, a ton of tricks. One of the things that you can do, for example, if something is really hard for you, I'm going to grab my bass and I'm going to plug myself in. So if you have headphones on, there will be a quick click here. It wasn't too bad. I have headphones on and I'm still good. How's that sound? Okay. So let's say this is a challenging bit out of the Joe Dart tune, okay? And if you wanted to get faster with it, hey Vincent, good to see you. Thanks for joining. If you wanted to get this under your fingers, right? It's a challenging, really quick riff with a dead note in there. And we spend about a month or even 2 months, I believe, in the practice membership working on that tune, working our way up to it. And the worst thing you can do is play this, can't get it, frustrated, over and over, right? So now what can you do? Rather, you can slow it down. Good, that's one thing in the toolbox, but it should not be the only toolbox tool that you have. What are some others? For example, we do things like that I, for example, play just bits of it. This I got from classical violinists. I just do those two notes. Because here's the thing. If I try to play this slow and then speed it up, add a tick, over and over and over, hoping it will get better, I will come to this edge tempo where all of a sudden the feeling in the hand needs to change. And this can't change by just pushing the tempo. Right? So what I need to do other than that is break it down in different ways other than slowing it down. So I'm going to keep the tempo. What is the tempo of this tune? I think it's 90, somewhere there. And it's shuffled and my metronome's out of battery. So one thing you can do, for example, is to just play two notes. Right? And then add one more. And then add one more. I really don't know what the tempo of this thing was, but then you practice that. Rather than the whole thing, which is giving you trouble, right? Then you add one more. And until you have the entire 6 notes. So these are 6 tuplets. It's shuffled. And it happens in the course of 2 quarter notes, right? So you take just tiny little snippets and practice those. That's one thing. Another method is a method that I call fast, fast, slow. I will demonstrate that with a simple permutation. So when you do permutation exercises, it's just the kind of drill that we do. It's in the theory book. It's just a really, really good way of practicing your technique, right? And let's say you want to do this drill 2, 1, 3, 4 really fast up the neck. It's a great drill. And it's something that would be just great for your technique, right? And you just cannot get past a certain tempo. So the first thing you need to do is find that tempo. I call it the edge tempo. And at that edge tempo is when it starts to crumble. Veins popping, tensing up. Just can't, either I'm early here. And think about that for a second. If I'm early here, I get a choked note, right? Because I'm slightly early here. And then as I'm clicking here, I am too late. So okay, that happens when this is early. When this is early, I get a double attack. Right, I get 2 things. It's also kind of choked. So if these are out of sync, then I'm getting garbled stuff. So taking this under the microscope, that's helpful. But again, this is, let's say my edge tempo is probably around... Metronome dying just now is great. But anyway, so this is fast, fast, slow, right? I hope you hear my foot. You're awesome. Thank you. Wolf's bringing me a metronome that actually has a battery. Thank you. Oh, it's also kind of low. Look at that. Okay, here we go. So I'm putting that to, let's say, 127. Fast, fast, slow. Fast, fast, slow. What that does is, I might not be ready yet to do this over and over in the fast tempo. Starting to tense up when I do that over and over, right? But if I do 2 rounds of it, and give myself one full cycle of, 2 beats to sort of recover, and also to really make it clear to me where the subdivision is, because if I can do it half the tempo, then I can also do it double the tempo, right? So these are just some tricks that I have in my toolbox. Another one is, as you notice, as first I might want to do this all the way up the neck, but to make it simpler, I'm just staying in one position. So there is a whole arsenal of things we can do. That's my main point. Rather than play the tough bit over and over and over, slowly, trying to get faster, trying to push it, tensing up, giving up, breaking that cycle of practicing with this tension. There are so many other things that I can do. Stay in one position, break it down into these tiny snippets. And violinists have been doing this for hundreds of years, right? They have figured that out a long time ago. When they want to play, when they want to get fast, they practice this fast feeling in the hand in a micro spot. Just 2 notes. Dig-a, dig-a, dig-a. It also helps you feel the subdivision, because that's the other thing, right? We could break it down from a technical standpoint. That's what we often do in class. We could break it down from a conceptual standpoint. Oftentimes, people just don't understand the rhythm. If you can't write it out, that's one way of knowing that you don't really understand it. If you can't do it at half speed, I cannot tell you how many times this fast, slow business has been revealing that you really didn't understand the rhythm. Because if you can't do it at half speed with the click, maybe hitting the 8th notes, or depending on what you're counting, right? Then you don't understand how it works. So you gotta fix that, right? There is so much more we can do rather than just play it down at a super, faster than we can do it, right? So that's my main point. And there's a whole arsenal of tricks that we have that we can do. I want to check in with the chat. We got, thank you for sending a comment. So the Facebook comments are not coming through. If somebody would be so kind to just be on Facebook, I know it's working there on my page as well as on my profile. I am really sorry that it's not working on the group. I really wanted it to work there, but there's some technical issue going on. So if somebody could please dial in the Facebook channel and translate the questions to me on YouTube or Fred into Slack. That would work as well. And I believe if you have it open on 2 channels, then you have to mute one of them, because otherwise you will get me twice with a lovely delay. All right, let's see what the questions are. I'm a bass taps junkie, says Lauren, and get frustrated and need to start over and structure how I learn bass. You know, Lauren, thank you for this comment. And I'm a firm believer there is nothing wrong with tap. If you started with tap, it's been able to get you to a certain place. There are even some tunes, heck, where you need tap. I was trying my hand at Outbound, a Stu Ham tune the other day, and you need to have tap because there's like super crazy tapping going on, and you need to just there's only a certain way how you can finger that on the fretboard, and it's so helpful to have the tap for situations like that. Of course, you should learn how to read, because first of all, if you learn music theory like I say, to do with shapes, and learning to read is just an afterthought. Believe me, you need to learn rhythm and you need to learn theory as shapes. Those are two things I've discovered about bass players, that this makes it so much easier to learn your music theory. So that's a big one. Learn theory as shapes. Ta-da, both of these books, but first this and then that one. But if you learn theory as shapes, it makes it so much easier, right? And if you are learning by tab, again, a lot of people are very judgmental about tab. I'm not. Whatever helps you to get to where you are, great. Just know that there comes a time where you really want to understand what you're doing. Like Lauren says, I want to understand. And this is also something that I've discovered about bass players. You're very visual. You're very shape-oriented. If you've ever played any tune, like... Okay, granted, that's the guitar line, but you get the point. This is a major pentatonic, right? You begin to intuit that certain sounds go with certain shapes, and that means you already know probably way more music theory than you think. If you have been a tab player, don't knock yourself. You got skills. You just haven't connected the dots yet. And what I want to do when I help you with that is not say, you got to forget everything you know and start over and learn lines and dots, which is what a typical classical music theory book would do, right? Because it comes from the assumption that reading is your first way in, because with many classical studies, unfortunately, that's the first place where we start. We learn to read. Right? Switch off your ears, switch off your hearing, I had it when I started piano. It was awful. It was called the Teufelsschule. It's a German book, whatever. Toifl. And it sounded absolutely awful on purpose for an entire year. It was this thick book, kind of orange-red, and there was nothing fun in it. It was just, oh yeah, you have to read. And then they gave me this awful contraption that I have to put over my head. And it was hiding the view. It went under the book. It's hiding the view to the keys. So you were absolutely forced to play just by reading. And I say it was so awful because it on purpose was like 12-tone music. It sounded like totally disconnected. It had no rhythm. It just was forcing me to read the notes. And bless my mom, because she was sitting through the whole thing with me. Otherwise, I would have given up, because it was purposefully designed not to be fun. Now, that was the thinking back then. But hopefully we have learned to make it fun, to include rhythm, to be all over if somebody has good ears. You know, and when I was little, my brother was playing stuff on the piano, and I'd go and tinker. I'd try to figure it out by what I'd heard him practice. And they forbid me to play the same pieces. Because, oh no, she's not going to learn how to read, you know. And I remember, well, when I used to have a piano school, all the kids, they come in, oh, I'm fooling the teacher. I'm just learning it by heart because I hear it. I'm not really reading it. I was like, this is a great skill. Let's lean into that. Let's teach you a whole month or two just by listening and using improvisation and all of that. But all of this just to say, shape-based learning is much more accessible to the bass player in particular, rather than lines and round things, right? Because it means I'm going to tell you, okay, forget everything you know. Every good boy does fine. They start with the treble clef for whatever reason in every single book. So never mind, we're bass players, so bass clef is just fine. But let's do that later. Let's first learn this is a fifth, and this is a fifth, and this is a fifth, right? Let's learn the shapes. Little boxes, you know, little triangles. We do these fun things. I'll show you maybe later if there's time. I'll show you a fun little drill that we just did in class last month. We were just finding little triangles in a major and minor pentatonic and moving them around, making a reggae groove out of it. This is so liberating and so freeing. And while we're doing that, I'm sneaking in that those are scale degrees, and I'm sneaking in that those are chord names, and I'm sneaking, you know. But that way, it's fun and it's accessible for the bass player, and it's such a different experience rather than saying, forget everything you know, all that tab you did, bad. Here's music, here's the real way, and then you learn all these intervals and all these drills and all these musical shapes that are frequent, right? Which, by the way, you could hear if you just go by some songs you've already done, you know. And they really literally take everything you already know through the tab away from you. And I don't want to do that. I want to go, let's build on that. You know shapes. All right, which shapes do you know? Then we do fun little drills where we find every single note on every string and just add a little bit of rhythm. Use some of Wolf's cool tracks. Make a little drill out of it. Add an interval, and you're off improvising, and it doesn't feel like practicing anymore. Can you all relate to that? Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Base group shows that it's starting soon. Yeah, sorry, Robert. I don't know why the Facebook group is not working. Comment from Facebook. That's working, though. Thank you. Oh, and LinkedIn is working. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful. So there was one wonderful question from Araxna. How do I structure a 60-minute session? I love it. So if there are any of my students here, which I'm seeing Vincent and Rick and Fred, so if you want to chime in, but we always do it the same way, and that's helpful. Because it's just like when I do my workouts in the morning, I want to do a warm-up, I want to do a little bit of maybe breathing, maybe I do my cold plunge, because we are fortunate enough to have one. I'm really into that sort of thing. So I'll do my little routine, and it always feels the same way. So I don't have to constantly decide what the heck I'm going to do next. Right? Because that takes away energy. That takes away the energy that I can use to actually get closer to what I'm looking to do here. So we structure our sessions. They are between 45 minutes and 60 minutes long. We always structure them the same. We do a warm-up where we get not just our fingers warmed up, but also our whole body involved. It involves a little bit of breathing. It involves some exercises that I've learned from the Sifu of Victor Wooten. So these martial arts professionals, they are all super in tune with warming up tendons, and there's no muscles in the hand, by the way. The fingers, they have no muscles. They have tendons that get operated by muscles further up. So it's very fascinating, but we need to warm up the whole apparatus, right? So we do a couple of drills like that. Then we rub our ears to get the juices flowing. There are lots of acupuncture and acupressure points in the ear, so we warm that up. Then we do a little breath. And that gets us already into the mood. And I tell you that too. If you're ever on a gig and you have a little bit of the nerves going on, you do these drills, they'll help settle you, right? They will be there for you if you did it in your practice. Then next we do some what I call finger kung fu. So this could be a spot from a song that's tough. This could be just finger permutations. They could be pivot permutations. So these drills that I showed you earlier, where you're just, going, taking certain numbers out of the, you've got 4 fingers and you can permutate them ever so many ways, but then there are so many variations you can do for this. You can do 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. You can do 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. I call those pivot permutations. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4 all across the base. I mean, there are so many. It's an endless array of really powerful drills, right? And what I do is I use my method Pora. Don't want to go too much into detail what that is, but it is focusing using the principles of rotating attention. Everybody think of something that you want to improve. I got flying fingers, like Scott Devine likes to call them, flying fingers, such a great expression. But you want to focus on one particular thing. So I'm going to bring my fingers close to the fretboard, right? Another thing I always want to make that case of when we do permutations is that it can help you to not look at the fretboard if you do them right? So if I go back to my 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, right? And now I want to do that up the neck without looking. There's so much I can practice when I do that, especially when you play fretless. It's great for your intonation, because when I go up to 1, 3, 4, and I'm bookmarking this, and I do not have to look, because I know I'm going to hand the baton to the second finger right there. So, I can focus on that. I can focus on what I call bookmarking, right? So that's a really powerful thing to do. So we spent a bunch of time on kung fus. And sometimes we take songs. That's really fun. Then we permutate the song. We do all across the fretboard and such. So lots of drills there to get the fingers going and to really switch on the blood flow and to get us into the groove. Then I typically have a theme that's either a bass line or a song or a challenging chord progression, or maybe a theory bit like modal interchange, or 1625, or we did a 1-6-4 flat 7 last month in a reggae. And then I want to connect, I want to hit that from all the angles you need. Theory, technique, pattern system, like shapes. And what I want to put in there is improv. Because this is where it gets really interesting. For example, if you learn a song and you're struggling with the bass line, one great way to get that bass line down beyond comprehension is to practice it through the cycle. And we do the cycle of fifths. We do the cycle of fifths to the right. So ascending fifths, we do the cycle of fifths to the left. Descending fifths, we do major seconds. We do minor seconds, right? And it comes out to being such real life situations, We did that one, was that September? We had funk month. September was funk month in my membership, so we practiced that. And what we did is we would take that verse riff, and we would permutate it down by half steps. Now, this is nice and easy as long as you are just moving down a half step, right? But at some point, you're going to run into open strings. So what you going to do then? But I tell you something, this is a real life situation. You practice your song in a certain key. You got your open strings. You got your little situation going on. You know your tap, and the singer comes in. Everybody, a little hoarse. Got to take it down a half step, please. Or a minor third or something, nothing. Now what you going to do? You need to know on the spot how to transpose that. So if we practice it through the cycle, hitting every single key in ever so many ways, it's so educational for the ears, getting the bass line under your fingers, all of that stuff. So we do a ton of that. And we improvise. We hit it as shapes. I draw out the shapes and we can see the shapes. So it's so interesting because some of these classes really fit. We have beginner classes as well in our membership. So we have one of our teachers, Tracy, who is totally focused on the beginner crowd. And so she will do what I teach on Monday, and she will teach it again from a beginner angle on Tuesday. But she also has her own sessions on Fridays where she does beginners. So, but always with the same method. She gets templates from me. She has extensively trained with me. She's wonderful. And there's, literally starting from zero. But you getting hit with those same things. Theory is shapes, technique. Then I have a rhythm matrix where I teach rhythm through words because we want to get it into our body, So I have just found a lot of ways how to help you internalize that. And so the majority of the time will be spent exploring those avenues. Again, technique again, theory, improvisation, rhythmic freedom, and shapes, right? And I wrote this second book together with my partner, Wolf, The Pattern System for the Bass Player, which really was the vision that we had all along, is to learn bass that way. Because if you really know the foundations well, we like to call it training the musical mind, then you have a lot of freedom. And we are wanting to share that. So everything we do, even in the beginning stages, because this is an advanced program, but even in the beginning stages, I want to give you that preview for what it's going to be like, when you have that system under your belt. And I can give you some little bits and pieces that are really, really easy. I could actually show you an example, but let me see how everybody is doing and what you would like to hear and what you would like me to tackle again on the topic of practicing. Let me see. I have both of your books, says Lauren, but I'm feeling overwhelmed by all the content you offer and I'm unsure where to start. I'd classify my ability as not exceeding learning through bad taps. Got you, Lauren. So if you are asking what's the best place to start, then my recommendation would be try the membership. We have a 2-week trial, so you can check it out and can dip into your heart's content. There's Christmas coming up, so should your sign up coincide with Christmas, then we'll certainly make sure you get at least 2 weeks of full classes in to test drive it. But what's so great about the practice membership is you don't have to decide what to practice. all you gotta do is look at our schedule, and I can show you our schedule. Let's see if I can figure this out. I should be able to. I think you can now see my desktop and probably see me in perpetuity. It's gonna go away in 1 second. Hang on. I think I know how to fix that. And that would be here. All right, I think this is now looking good. This is the dashboard that you see as a member. And here's our event calendar. You have a view like this as well as here. And so here you can see all of our events, right? And now if you are describing yourself as you are, Lauren, what you would do is go in here and look for all the classes on Monday with me, because I open them up for all levels. And some of these drills I have described, look, if you are an experienced player, you can go to town and rip these drills, right? If you are just a foundational player, then you will just hang on for dear life. But both are getting the benefit of the drill, right? So both the advanced person as well as a more foundational person is getting a good practice in, right? Which is my main thing I care about. And so we have these practices on Monday, and then on Tuesday, Tracy comes in and looks at it from a beginner angle. So she will go back and really backtrack. Okay, this is what we did. This is a fifth. And we have very clear guidelines. What means beginner, what means intermediate, what means advanced. We have a little test on the website that you can take and then slot yourself accordingly. And then you can take the class on Tuesday. Now, if you want to practice some more, you can join on Wednesday, where Alan comes in and teaches it yet again. Practice some more. Now, this is not about getting some new stuff every single time we log on. No, the truth of the matter is effective practice is repetitive. But it's not just rote repetitive, meaning playing the same thing over and over, tensing up, giving up. But it's breaking it down in smart ways, bringing it, just tweaking it, in all these many ways I've mentioned through the cycle. Doing, finding the creative bits of it. Like there's so many different ways we do what I call reduction or overlays, where we take a song idea and lay it over different chord progressions. So there's so many ways to practice this. The beginner folks will be, okay, challenge, but got it, challenge, do it simple. Do it simply. Right? It's fun because you're going to make it sound good. And the advanced folks, they can go to town, right? But it's important to do this same thing over and over, right? That's what the practice the practice membership does for you. All you got to do is log on. Pick your times where you are available or watch the archives. We archive everything. So you'll have a very easy time then backtracking things. Should I make this a little bit bigger here? I'm just thinking, I hope this is helpful. So here's the schedule of last week, for example. And then I also do something I call ear training Mondays. That's a really fun ear training class, more on the advanced side, but I always cater it to whoever is there. So I'm going to start getting to know you, and I'm going to be able to give particular easier versions and harder versions also in that class. But Monday, Tuesday, and oftentimes on Wednesday, not every week, but it depends. We have review classes. So I do my thing on Monday, Tuesday, beginner version of it, Wednesday, practice it some more. Then Thursday, we sometimes have me doing another Groove Essentials class or me doing a pattern system class. And then sometimes we have on Friday Tracy doing her beginner rotation. So if you don't know where to start, where you stand, you take the levels test. Find your spots accordingly here. And I always recommend my Monday sessions, and then maybe Monday and Tuesday or Monday and Wednesday or Monday and Thursday, right? If you are a beginner, do Monday, Tuesday, Friday, right? Or just Tuesday, Friday. You can watch the reruns. They are all neatly organized right here. So here you can also dial in by level, right? Or you can, here we have these little, I'm way zoomed in, so it's jumping around like crazy a little bit. But here you can see everything we've done in the last few months, and there's a whole bunch of them in here, right? Every single one you click here, there are a few sessions, and you can then review if you need something again. The videos are there for you, right? And you get a bunch of assets with it. You get transcriptions. See, those are the little triangles we did. That was so super fun and super easy. If you are even on the very beginner end, you can figure this out, right? And it's such a revelation because we're improvising, right? If there's time, I might show you some of that. And, you know, we make rhythmic templates, and then we shapes. You know, we squeeze in the pattern system wherever we can, and we have a lot of people in our universe who've done the pattern system. So the membership would be a good place to start for you, because I model how to practice every single session, and you will for sure get something that is appropriate for your level out of my Monday class, and then you can review it as needed on Tuesday, maybe also Friday, or maybe also Wednesday, or maybe also Thursday. So there's a lot there, but it's very purposeful. So we are very, thinking very closely how we can help you the most. So hopefully this is helpful, Lauren. So I would recommend the membership, and I would recommend taking the levels test and then slotting yourself into those sessions. And don't worry about the rest. Just keep showing up. You can ask questions. You can play loud if you want to. We know that sometimes people are a little apprehensive. I don't want to play in front of the group. You don't have to. Nobody will make it. You can even turn off your camera if you want. You can call yourself Kermit the Frog in the Zoom tile if you want to stay anonymous. That's all possible. But we do want you to have the opportunity to ask questions. And we have larger groups. We have really small groups. You'll find your place. You might want to be a little bit patient, sort of drift in and drift out, see which teacher you like. But everything the teachers are doing, whether it's me or Tracy or Al, is always going to be consistent. They got teaching principles from us, and they've done tons of classes with us. Okay, what other comments do we have? Let me see what I can catch up here. After taking your pattern class, says Rick, spending 45 minutes a day on the bass with Kung Fu drills, it becomes like driving a clutch, and I have recently become more confident playing without looking. Great. And Rick, I watch your... See, I got the best seat in the house in these classes, because I get to see all these little Zoom tiles and everybody playing and practicing along, and I've gotten quite good at reading the tiles, so I know where to slow it down a little bit, where to give somebody a tip. Hey, scoot up 2 frets there, tile number 3. So we have quite a bit of interaction, and you can ask a question at any point. Bass on the Mark says the pattern system for the bass player book, which I bought when it was released, was and still is a game changer for me. Congratulations. One of the best bass education purchases I've made over the years. Well, thank you. That means a lot. It's an in-depth method. It really is, and we really believe it's extremely effective and powerful. So we even sneak it into the beginner ends of things, because even if you just do a little bit of it, I recently got an email from somebody's like, Ari, I don't want to become a professional. I just want to have fun playing a bit. I'm a hobby guy. I'm retired. I'm just doing this for fun. Do I really need to play all this stuff? Well, my answer to that is, if you have more facility, you're going to have more fun, right? Whether you're ever going to be up on a stage getting paid for it or not, even if you do just a few of those pattern system drills, you're going to get so much out of it. And it's also, this kind of practice, I dare say, it builds character, it builds habit, it builds mental strength. Some of that stuff's hard. Yes, it's hard, like connection exercises and all these things we do all across the neck systematically. It's hard technically, it's hard conceptually, but you do a little bit of that hard and you get so much good stuff out of it. And that makes playing way more fun, right? If you feel like you can improvise and you have agency and you understand what these chord progressions mean, and you can do it all over the fretboard without looking, right? It's just a wonderful thing. Let me see. Am I missing anything here? To taking a bass mass question. Do you time or devise in time what you do in practices? For example, 15 minutes of chord progressions, 30 minutes of permutations, or do you do the same thing for an hour? No. It's not the same thing for an hour. Not at all. I have guidelines inside my mind. I don't want to do technique for more than 10-15 minutes because quite honestly, technique wears off. You're gonna reach a point of diminished returns. So I don't want to do too much technique. Sometimes I wedge in a little bit of theory with the technique drills. We did this one. What did we do? I forget. Something like that, which is like minor triad up the neck, or that's what we did. So that's obviously, a minor triad with the 1-5-1 on the bottom. So to practice the string crossing and practices, not looking at the fretboard and da-da-da-da-da. But we don't want to do more than 15 minutes of that. And then dive into, what is really the fun bit, where there's a theory portion and bass line, and when we break it down in so many ways. And it always involves improvisation. Sometimes the improvisation, see, this is why this is such a powerful way of approaching it, because there's so many angles how you can come at a bass line, every single time it's different, but not. Because the basics we gotta practice, I'm sorry, are those scales, are those triads, are those rhythms, in context, how they occur in songs. And that is very often linked to theory. Common chord progressions, triads, 4-note chords, extensions, alterations, chromaticism, 1-5-8, 1-5-10, there are these devices and shticks, but then it's all these theory things that I just mentioned. They are not just abstract things, they turn into sounds inside a song, right? So we do all sorts of really wicked drills with fills, like we practice the Mixolydian scale using a flea bass line, That's heck of fun. It makes you think on your feet. You're practicing a scale. You're practicing grooving and filling, which is one of my favorite drills, and it's something applicable you can use. If you play in any kind of band or outfit or jams, you can use it, And so, no, we do not do the whole thing. And that's also the beauty. See, if you take my theory course, for example, the topic of that is mostly theory and technique, because I think of theory and technique as one thing, shape-based, right? Shape. It's a shape. It's a triad. It's got a fingering. And if I have a fingering, I might as well talk about good technique. And I'm halfway there, right? So that's my philosophy. But the theory course is mostly built around theory. Now, in the practice membership, all you gotta do, again, is find your spot, log on at the time where it happens, and show up and do the drill along with you. And you will very soon see, okay, those Tuesday classes, they're just perfect for me. Or those Friday classes, they're perfect for me. And we spend on one big topic typically a month. So we had Funk Month September. We sometimes do, we did last year over winter, I think we did 3 months on a tune where we even went into solo bass, how to make a solo version of that tune. We did Funk Month September. We did, I gotta look at it. Here you can see some of the things we did, because it's always different, but the stuff you're practicing is the stuff you gotta practice. And at the end of the day, that's not super flashy stuff. Those scales, those shapes, those patterns all across the neck, be rhythmically free, right? So we did scales practice, a mini series. And oh my gosh, I could talk for a year about scales and not run out of material, right? Scales in songs, and scales in theory, and scales in ear training, and scales with rhythm, and scales in the pattern system. Every single one that I just mentioned is hours and hours and hours of practice. Now, I know where to start, where to take you, so you get a result. But you need to do it over and over with just a different angle, different key, different song, different rhythm, different this. And that's how good practice gets you results. It's a myth to think that if I know what the modes are in theory, C major, D Dorian, E Phrygian, that I actually know how to use them, right? Nope. We barely start there. And some people, they might expect in every single class completely new material. That's way too much. But what I do is the material that you need to learn, for example, scales. I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry, I thought I was. Scales, right? Like here, scales. Right? Or September is Funk Month. We did all sorts of stuff with funk. Or triads and chords. Or how to create your own grooves, right? now all of these mini topics, they are designed to practice the foundation, right? And we practice. Well, we don't just say, okay, I know my modes, C Ionian, D Dorian, E Phrygian. No, we practice, C Ionian, C Dorian, C Phrygian. We practice them in context. We practice them with rhythm. We practice them inside the songs. That's where I'm coming from with that stuff. Does that make sense? So to make the foundation fun and accessible, but we always have to practice that stuff. Let's see, we're catching up here. So thank you again for your comment there, based on the mark. Good name. Question, do you have time or device in time? Yeah, so hopefully that answered it, Mass, on Facebook. But in my own personal practice, I'm a little bit more like timer oriented, if you will. So I set my timer to do, I do 25 technique, but I would warn to do 25 minutes of technique in the beginning. If you want to do a lot of technique, I would do 2 rounds of 5 minutes, or maybe 3 rounds of 5 minutes. What do I mean by 3 rounds? Do 5 minutes and do something else. Either go do the dishes, take out the dog for a walk, or practice a tune, something else, and then come back to another 5 minutes of very focused practice. Because the kind of focus I talk about is deep focus. It's like a meditation, and you need to start slow. Thank you, Fred, for posting the link. Question from Facebook, do you have time or device time? I think I got that. The pattern system is a very rich musical device indeed, says Laurent, who has done several practice groups with us, 10-week groups. You can watch the reruns. If you become a member, you get access to 3 rounds of masterclasses that are pre-recorded of the pattern system, and you will see Laurent do his final test, which is absolutely awesome. So just that alone is worth the price of admission. We always do tests after 10 weeks where people have assignments to do, and Laurent just ripped it, absolutely ripped it, and did a beautiful job of putting that material into action. What are your thoughts on Schechter basses? The ones I've seen, they're very nice. I'm a Marlowe gal inside and out, and that means you get very spoiled in terms of comfort of neck. So for me, the Schechters might feel a little heavy, but I also know that some people really like that. So it really depends on your personality. But I've certainly seen some very nice Schechter basses. But this is a Concert Marlowe that I love dearly. I got 4-string, 5-string, 6-string versions. And I also play the Wotan model, which is a little bit more akin to like a Fender build. It's got 21 frets just to be different, but that's a great funk bass. I also have a Contra by Marlowe. I have a beautiful Fibonacci fretless bass, and my Kala U bass is right there in the corner. And yeah, I have way too many basses at mission time. Vincent gives a shout out to the backing tracks Wolf created. They are such a useful practice tool. Yeah, and I cannot tell you enough just how much that adds to our fun factor, and just getting deeply into the song as Wolf is creating the track and trying to figure out what is the bass line that makes that song go, why does this work? What else is happening in the song? So it's just a beautiful addition to what we're doing. Mike says, I guess I need your books, Ari. Mike, I endorse that sentiment. You can get them spiral bound on Amazon.com. You can also get them spiral bound at our shop at shop.arispacblog.com. And you can also just get what I recommend if you are on a budget, because the spiral binding costs a bunch more because we have to house them and fulfill them and send them out from a fulfillment center. So if you want to save a few bucks, what you do is you get the regular version that you can get on Amazon worldwide, and then you cut off the spine. You go and take it to like a FedEx or an Office Depot or one of these, and you ask them to cut off the spine and put what's called coil binding in. And we set the print so that you won't have any data loss. There won't be any punched holes inside a letter or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. If they do know what they're doing, they'll do it perfectly. And then you get a spiral bound book for just a couple of bucks. So usually they charge I don't know, between $5 and $10 for that service, but that can save you in postage, especially to Europe, and it can save you just in terms of price. So that would be my recommendation. The theory book is also out as an ebook, and you can get that on Script and Kobo and a couple of other outlets like that. January Jazz is coming. Yes, Jazzy January is our topic for January, and for December we're going to go into rhythm and groove. I really need to practice improvisation, yeah. And you know, woot, W-O-O-T. I agree with that sentiment because I love improvising, but you always want to have a plan, because it's too easy to just go off in our own little world and not know that we've maybe left the rhythm behind or dropped the beat or don't really know what we're doing. So we always make sure that we have an agenda. Like little triangles was our agenda last week, right? We had... So that was just the example of the song that we did is inspired by a Gil Scott-Heron tune. And, it just, you want to have some sort of hook about it, right? So you learn something while you're doing it. In this case, our assignment was little triangles and a certain rhythmic feel, because the original bass line did more often than not always, but more often than not, dee-ga-dee-da, ba-dee-ga-dee-ba, which means the first measure had nothing on beat 3, dee-ga-dee-ga, ba-dee-ga-dee-da, or dee-ga-dee-ga, ba-dee-ga-dee-da. And the second measure had something on beat 3, right? So we had a guideline and freedom. And I feel that helps, because if you tell somebody, oh, just play what you feel, just play whatever, this can be very, very daunting and very, very discouraging for some people, because they don't even know where to start. So I want to give you the understanding, triangles, they're easy to find, they're super easy to find, and we put the visual up. Here they are. Hang on, I'll show them to you again. What was it? Practicing now, Groove Lab. Here, wait. You see that? So here were the triangles, and that was, hang on. I need to get down there. There we go. So the triangles happened, I believe, in session 3. I think they're in there somewhere. Here. These are the triangles, right? That's really easy. And then we have a rhythmic template, which is somewhere in there. Where is it? That's kind of like the reduction, the gist here. Ba-ga-di-ga, ba-di-ga, do-da. And it's swung because it's a reggae, right? So that was our assignment. And if you practice improvising that way, you can practice having a certain musical outcome, right? Because we could do the same thing instead of using the little triangles, which are pentatonic shapes, but we could do chromaticism, we could do root 5/8, we could do triads, we could do 4-note chords, right? And all of a sudden you're practicing way more than just improvising. So that's the way how I think about it. There's one for the backing tracks. Yes, the backing tracks are highly popular and a huge asset for us. Every session is recorded, so if you can't make the live session, good point, Fred. You can catch up on your own time or go back and review parts of the live session. So it's really nice to have that. Queen Red Pill says, I'm having a serious thumb problem. Oy. My fingers are extremely flexible and my thumb bends at the base near my wrist, and it hurts after a while. You know what? That sounds like a typical problem of over gripping. So what we often do is we get a buzz, right? And we want good tone because we got ears. And then we go, if I just push harder, right? If I just press harder, then it's going to happen. We also start pressing harder when we try to speed up. Worst thing you can do is try to push through it, right? You've got veins popping and whatnot. And so the answer to that is to learn to let it go of the thumb. You can even practice, Queen, without the thumb. So let me see if I can get this. Oh, the cats have, once again, that's the wrong camera. Sorry about that. The cats always unplug my power of my camera. So there you go. So much for that camera angle. But in class, I always have three camera angles. So, but what I would want to show you is you can practice, not because you have to play like that, but just to practice how many calories do you really need to push down a string? And let me tell you, that's not many. And there's a little more that goes into that, because if you set up your plucking hand just right, you're gonna take a load off your thumb, right? There's a exercise that I like to do where you just push here and feel how this actually helps you power that tone, right? And my thumb does nothing. There are other drills that I like to do, like this. What I do is I play a figure of 16th notes, either on one note or on four different notes, or permutation or whatever, and then drop the hand. And that's very powerful because tension needs some time to build up. Right? It just takes a moment to build up. And if I don't allow it to build up and just drop the hand and let the blood return into it and feel what it feels like to be relaxed, you have to train yourself to feel relaxation again. That's why these meditative drills that we do are so powerful. So if you feel any kind of pain, my guess would be that there is some overgripping going on, and you just need to run it through some pora exercises, these drills that I just said. Keep your attention on, letting go of the thumb, breathing through the thumb, dropping the hand. We lose connection. We tend to lose connection often to our limbs, and we think we aren't doing something, but we really are, right? And that's why also recording yourself is often powerful. And, in these sessions that we do in our classes, I often switch to the view of you guys. So you get to see the best view in the house that I have, and you see all these little Zoom tiles and everybody practicing. And I just always hope that people then, when they review it, zoom in on themselves and notice things. I sure notice things all the time. I had this habit that I still sometimes fall into of this. For some reason, when I'm pressing my lips on top of each other and the neck gets all like, for some reason, I think I can play better. So that's just some old tension stuff that I noticed actually from videos that people sent me of my gigs. And I'm like, whoa, I remember that moment. I couldn't hear myself, whatever. And then you want to deconstruct that and teach yourself to play relaxed. Does it always work? No, but the more you practice it, the more it will. And I think that will be helpful. So hopefully that tip can set you in the right direction, Queen. Jessie is here. Great books, game changer indeed. Thank you, Jessie. That's good to hear. Very smooth. Is chiming in. What else we got? I have to go. Thank you so much. Yeah, you are welcome, and thank you, Fred. Indeed. Theory book link. There we go. Thank you. Pattern book link. Exactly what I did with my theory book, as I couldn't find the spiral book. Now it stays open. Yeah, it's really helpful to spiral bind it. So can you talk, I'm going to grab one more question and then I'm going to wind it down. Can you talk a little bit how to practice the raking technique? Do you recommend the fingers being more curled or straight? All right, that's a longer question. That's a little bit of a rabbit hole question. Index middle alternating is one of the techniques that I highly recommend for anybody who wants to get fast quickly. For the main reason being, if you play, let's say, a pentatonic scale up, if you play it up, then if you play it up, then you're going to, I have to decide on a key. Sorry, I have to decide on a key, A minor. So if you're going up, you're not going to dream about index middle alternating not happening, right? Some people still have the habit of just doing one finger, but typically, more often than not, people will automatically change with every note. Now, your hand already knows how to do that. So if you go from the top down, just do the same thing again with the same idea rather than raking. Raking has a bunch of, it's a bit of a rabbit hole, and I know people like to talk to me about that, and I'd be happy to give that answer at some point. But my main idea is if you want the most flexibility in the fastest amount of time, there is a time where you practice it during those kung fu's. And that's why I say don't do more than 5-10 minutes in the beginning. Then done. And then for the rest of the time, you let go of it. You just practice. And your habit will over time change if you have a portion of your practice dedicated to index middle alternating from the top down. Right? And you definitely need a plan, because if you don't have a plan, there will come a speed bump that will be unsurmountable. And then if you aren't prepared, you have to relearn a lot of things. So that is my tip for that. All right, everybody. I want to remind you again of these live practices we are doing. The membership was closed for 2 years, where I was trying things, where I was refining things, where we were getting tons and tons of feedback from students, where I was observing what's working, what isn't working, how to archive it. A whole team involved on the tech end. Fred, who's here in the chat, big time involved in making this look good, accessible, you know, making ways of making this sortable. I mean, we did so much work in the back end because I wanted it to be really nice and crisp when we open it up again to the public. So it is now open and you can join. We offer a 6-month block if you don't like memberships, so you can get it at $99 per month. This is definitely the lowest we're ever gonna go, so you can consider that our Black Friday deal, 6 months for $99 a month, or you can, if you don't want to commit that far out in advance, you can just go month by month. You can cancel at any time, and you have access to all the archives. You log on, you watch the orientation video, you do the things that are in there, take the levels test, you figure out where you belong, you sign up for these classes, you can RSVP, you get the link, Zoom link into your inbox. There's no technical thing you need to worry about. It's all very, very easy. And you're welcome to practice in community with others with a guidance that just takes the guesswork out of practicing and just makes sure that you get an excellent practice session under your belt. There are no stories, no anecdotes, no fluff, no nothing. We have fun through practicing. Is it hard sometimes? Yep. We stumble, we fall, but we keep going. And that's the real deal. That's how people get better. So if you're interested in that, please hit us up. And you don't have to be a pro player or want to be pro player. If you are a pro player, you'll find plenty of stuff to do, but if you're on the beginner side of things, just stick with the beginner classes and take it easy. Allow yourself to pace yourself and see what's possible. It's super motivating too. So thanks everybody for joining. It's really wonderful to be able to do that. I might do another one like that on Wednesday, so watch for the announcements. We're gonna get Facebook to work one way or another. And thank you all for joining. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Cheers.